What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show.
Hey,
Let's put a ring on
put
it.
a ring on it.
Hosted by the Steezys.
KB and Nate.
Is our relationship gold? Hey, put a ring on it. Put a ring on it. Put a ring on it. Please, our relationship gold? Hey, put a ring on it. Put a ring on it. Put a ring on it. Yeah. And don't be like you should've put a ring on it. Yeah. Put a ring on the Steezys.
I don't think we can do it together, babe. You make me nervous.
Oh, got me checked right in.
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of Put a Ring on It podcast. I am Nate Steezy or Nate Starworth, depending on what circle you in. And it's fine, Nubian princess next to me.
It's your girl KB, aka Mrs. Steezy, aka Mrs. Superfood Detroit.
You always put this little like break when I say that, like in the end. You
I
gotta
gotta
say
let
it.
it marinate a little bit.
You gotta smack your lips. You gotta smack.
I got a show. He talking about me.
Oh, okay. Miss Steezy.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so this our holiday edition, you know what I'm saying? Happy 4th of July if you celebrate. If not, happy Monday.
I heard somebody say happy 15 days after Juneteenth, so that's what I'm gonna say. So
Put
there
a
you
ring
go.
on that. Right?
That's what we gonna go with.
One of my friends last week, he asked me, they said, man, Nate, when you gonna have some white people on your show? I said, man, I'm not keeping white people off. I just know a lot of interesting black people.
There you go.
I like, you want to be the first one?
Oh, they was white.
Yeah, one of my white friends. and
Oh, you
shit.
talking about your friend up north?
No, I wasn't him.
You got two white friends? I'm shocked and amazed.
I got more than that. I
Okay.
got more than that. My white friends love me.
Sure.
But anyway, we got another good show here. We was off last week. We took last week off to watch the fireworks.
Fireworks with our
We took
kids.
27 kids. No, not really, but
It was
about
close.
12,
Say enough, huh?
12, 13 kids down to
He
our
been
condo.
having like baby fever.
Ain't baby feet. We just showing love to the next generation. You know what I'm saying? All these books and stuff like that is just getting me motivated to help the next generation.
I think so.
That's all it is.
God put that on your heart, not mine.
You gonna put a ring on that right there? Yeah. You put it on my heart, not my loins. Okay, so that's over.
Yes.
Anyway, we got another great show here. We have a second time appearer. What I want to say, appearer.
No,
appearance.
Yeah, appearance.
Appearer.
That's not a word.
It's not a word.
No.
I can make it one though right now.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Second appearer with his second appearance. Yeah, that's what I want to say right
Okay,
there.
babe.
You know what I'm saying? To the show. And not many people been on this show twice. You know, so only a few people been on here twice. So you got to have something real interesting on here. So
Yeah.
first time we was here, we was talking prematurely about plans to have this book and what it was going to be about. And, manifesting and bringing things. And poof.
It's here.
About 6 months later, we here to talk about the book that we talked about
excited.
months ago on a past show. So, without further ado, I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Well, happy Monday to everybody. My name is Wyatt Jones III, principal of Loyola High School, consultant, and a recent author of the Urban Playbook. And so I'm glad to be here to chop it up a little bit about this book and my hopes and
Yes,
how it
sir.
impact others. So yeah,
Like he
thanks
said,
for having me.
in his book, he's the proud principal of Loyola High School, which, if you don't know, is an all-male Jesuit high school in the heart of Detroit, Michigan. And he's been an educational leader for over 17 years. Loyola boasts 100% graduation record. That's in ink right there. I ain't make that up.
That is awesome.
And college acceptance for the last 12 consecutive years. So that means for the last 12 years, every boy that went to that school has been accepted to college and has graduated.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a ring on that right there.
Absolutely.
And
Because you
people
be
have talked about this too, right? It's been
Yeah.
published in the news and things
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Tell a little bit about that before we hop into the book. So that's a little background on you.
For sure, real quick. So Loyola High School is my baby. That's my ministry. The ability to work with young men across the city who aspire to be better. And so what we do is, through the dedication of our programming and the people that we have there, or give them opportunities to fly. So part of it is they don't know that they can fly. And once we let them know, just jump out there. You know, opportunities come for them. So there are things like our work experience program where our students go out and work in the community, which is huge for us, corporate work study, opportunity to, you know, play sports and really have a Christian grounded understanding of what education looks like. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's your day job. That's his day job.
For sure.
And at nighttime, he's Batman. You feel me?
Dun, 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 dun.
He's Batman, and he's writing these books and doing all these extra wonderful things. So this urban playbook, let's talk about this. Let's hop right into this. Now, we talked about this before, so we got a whole nother show you can go back to and watch this show on YouTube, and we talked about the maturation of this moment. But let's go back a little bit for urban playbook. How did it start?
All right, so many, many years ago, I come from a religious family, right? So my mother, my father, my grandparents, ministers and all that. Grandfather was superintendent of Kojic churches out in California, so been deeply connected to that. My aunt came to California one day, and we're down at Coney Island, Lafayette, and literally having a conversation about me applying to grad school, get my PhD. And so, you know, I'm not sure what I want to do with that. And she said, hey, you live in a testament. Use what you're doing right now to help create your thesis for your dissertation, which then became the manifestation of the book, which was put all those things together and be able to help provide people with resources to be impactful.
Yeah. So this overall is for a better learning experience, and it's about teachers and students and parents and children. So how did you come about all this information? This is a what do you call it? This is a culmination of years put into, research put into this.
For sure. So part of it is just anecdotally. I've been working in schools for now 19 years.
Right.
I've had the opportunity to groom my skills through working with young men. Now, I tell everybody all the time, it says an urban playbook for African-American men, just because that's my experience. But I think these tools are transferable to African-American girls, to kids all across who may have these issues. And then we realize it don't matter what somebody give you. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So this might not work for every particular kid you meet, but I think there are some things that give you surface-level, ground-level conversations to where if you start there, you'll be able to build from there.
Yeah. Now, speaking about building.
Absolutely.
Speaking about building, you talked in the beginning the dedication to this book. Now, he dedicated this to his late father, Deacon Wyatt Jones Jr., which is a foundation, and his mother, Deborah Jean Eastman Jones. Yeah. Also his children, and Dr. Barbara Williams and James Michael Steele. Yeah. Now, tell me how important each one of these people is in the role that they play in this book.
The forward of the book, or just the introduction, talks a lot about my father, a giant to me. You know what I mean? My father was 5'5". I'm about 5'6". My father was 5'5". He wore cowboy boots every day of his life. But he was a giant in the community because he stood on principle. And he understood the importance of hard work. He understood the importance of being faithful and being consistent. And so I was able to kind of see the blueprint of what it's like to be a mentor or educator, because my father worked at Loyola.
Right, as explained in the book.
Yeah, so we get a little bit into that. So he is instrumental in who I've become and who I aspire to continue to be, just because of, what he's left for me. And then my mother, the matriarch of our family, my mother's still alive, and so we strive every day, me and my brothers and sisters, to please our mother, make sure our mother is in a good space. She gave up a lot. I don't mention this in the book, but when I went to college, I played football, so I was on a partial scholarship. My mother used to take her full check every 2 weeks and pay my tuition.
Wow.
Literally every dollar check went to my tuition.
Put a ring on that.
So I honor my mom and my work.
Great investment.
Great now investment, that I'm in a position to do better, to always honor my mother with what I do. So we are intentional with what we do because we are the name that's on our back. Yeah. And I talked about Dr. Barbara already, who was my mother's sister.
Yeah.
And then James Michael Steele, interesting enough, was my first English teacher, who taught me that school was cool and that you could do this with your own level of kind of genuineness. And so I learned a lot from him. He's in New York right now, and he was one of the people I dedicated the book to.
I absolutely love the stories in the book. I don't want to talk about all of them, but one in particular that I wanted to mention was about a young man named Darius.
Yeah.
And that one to me you know, I'm an emotional person, so you know, I'm reading the stories thinking that, you know, every story has a happy ending, and I read that and was like, oh no, you know what I mean? And it was so sad, and I wanted you just to speak on him and how you guys met and just his story.
For sure. So I'll give you some of it. Darius was a young man who came to Loyola a big kid. I mean, this kid was 6'2", you know, maybe about 200 pounds. He was 14.
14, babe.
You know, fumbling over himself. Dealt with like some like self-esteem issues because he was big, he was real dark, and I was like, God is giving you something that you have no idea.
Exactly.
So part of it was walking him down the path to figure out what is it that you want to do. Like, we always look at kids and say, you should be an athlete. Well, maybe it wasn't an athlete. He could have been an artist. He could have been, you know, a poet or whatever it was. But he decided that football was his thing. And so the story, we just talk about our journeys together in terms of building him up in a situation where he was strong enough to then kind of understand who he was, how close and intimate he became a part of my family, being around my children and trusting my children around him as if he was my own son.
Wow.
And, you know, tragically, Darius did pass away, but it really talks about our story, and I was able to speak at his homegoing service.
Wow.
And really at that time, it was to press upon the other young people the importance of like decision making, the importance of understanding who God is in your life and getting close to him, you know. And so Darius is always special to me. He kind of helped trigger some of that mentorship about, you know, it's bigger than just what happens between the hours you're in school. That is real work. And so, you know, I started, I have a mentoring program, a nonprofit. And so every year we have the Darius Cooley back to school event in honor of him.
Put a ring on that.
We've been doing that for many years. We get free haircuts and book bags, dental work, and
Wow.
you know, we have a health fair, food and carnivals and all that, and that's in honor of Darius. Yeah.
Yes, what's up.
I thought that was a beautiful story.
It was
He
beautiful.
seemed like a good young man, and I think a lot of young people are they don't know who they are, and they need help to find out who they are, because a lot of times as parents, we put who we want our children to be in their head, and if they don't agree with that same thought process, it's like, I don't want to be that, but I don't know who I want to be.
Exactly.
And
That kind of bring touch to what I was going to say next,
Yeah.
when he, you know, how he, in his first chapter, how he talked about Abraham Maslow,
Oh, yeah,
and how one size fits all approach is not good for everyone.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that kind of what goes into that kid, you know, when it comes to Darius, and which comes into the first chapter of the book. So kind of explain why you adopted that philosophy.
Yeah, so most educators and like we'll talk about Maslow's kind of hierarchy of needs and understanding like what people really need in life, and that's not even specific to black boys. It's just
Right,
period.
Right.
People need a certain level of like safety. If my safety is jeopardized, everything else don't matter. Like, I can't really focus on that. And so it talks about how do we support our young men and understanding if they're hungry, they can't learn. You know, if they don't feel safe, they can't progress. And so how do we on the surface level make sure that their basic needs are together? And then Maslow kind of teaches you how there are tier systems to more things they can do once that is done. So like in our school, if a kid comes in and he's hungry, let's give him some food before we send him to class. It makes perfect sense, you know. So if, you know, he come to school and we realizing every day, hey man, we're gonna send you home because we wear uniforms and you're not dressed. Well, maybe you don't have a washing machine, so bring your clothes and let us wash them. Or, you know, it's around Thanksgiving time. We've been blessed to be able to give out Thanksgiving bags, which every kid don't want you to see them walking out with a bag. So they
Right.
bring their book bag and we put it all in there. But we have special times where they come pick them up because of the decency and dignity of the young man. So it's just that's what Maslow's about. And I think when you're dealing with young people, you have to do it a la carte, meaning I might need some things from you, and there are other things that I don't need from you because I'm strong in there. And as adults, we have to learn to be quiet a little bit because they'll tell us exactly what they need. We'll give them a chance to.
Yeah, but then, you know, like you said in there too, on the other side, you ask people questions. Like you said, people have aspire in the book to be in the NBA, and then he has a simple question: do you play basketball every day? And overwhelmingly, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, you got to hit them with the other side of it too. Well, you got to put action to what
You got to
want.
put preparation in for the things that
for
you
sure.
want. It just
Yeah.
don't. I mean,
And that's
some
what I
people
took
have
from
it naturally. Don't get me twisted, but
Yeah.
ain't nobody coming knocking on your door right now, so you got to put in that work.
And you're not working towards your craft every day if that's really what you want.
And see, there's levels to it. You know what I mean? As we get down in the book, though, but we talk about, you know, so I guess I'll say this part and then I'll explain that. So I created a framework. So Eastman, if you're looking to order the book, you can go to eastmaneducationalconsulting.com. And so Eastman is my mother's family name.
Right.
And so it's important to understand when you're dealing with that. I created this framework called the IBA model, which is an acronym for identify, build relationships, and then how do we assess, assist, and create accountability.
Also in the book.
Yep. So to go back to that, I think when we say it's levels, when you're first dealing with a kid, that identifying stage is not a time where I'm going to be telling you, well, you know, you ain't going to the gym. I might even go there with you. I'm just kind of getting a survey interest of what you like and kind of understanding that. And as we build a relationship, then we get to a point where I'm like, you know, going to the NBA is just unrealistic, you know, and that's the truth. And why? It's a couple reasons. One, you don't practice. One, you're not even on your high school JV team. You know, like, so sometimes it's just like people always talking about, you know, what God have for them. And this, you know, dreaming is okay, but sometimes you got to put some action to it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For
Put
sure.
a ring on that there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Got to put action.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Ben.
How will you do that to me? I just had a question. So, in the book, all the different stories and all the different scenarios that you have with the boys that you work with, and it was something that you said that made me think about, you know, when a child leaves or they go to a different school or they don't finish out their school year with Loyola, you feel like, oh, I can't see you. I don't have my hand on you. So now, you know, like, I'm fearful of what you're gonna do if you're gonna stay on track. And that's probably like a big issue. I know for me, like, if you're not out of sight, out of mind, like, so I feel like if you're not within my reach, you're not gonna do what you're supposed to do. And if you're not here with me, you're gonna go and do some other stuff.
But I realize that's my own insecurity. Because if you're doing it strategically and you're doing it genuinely, you're going to give them the tools to be successful. It's just like being in a nest. You know, a mother going to feel much better when the kid's there. You know, I'm not quite sure if these birds are ready to fly, but at some point they got to jump out there. And so
sometimes you got to push them.
Yeah, you're giving them what they needed. So when they go out in the world, you wish them the best, knowing that you've given them all that you have. You poured into them to then, and they might stumble, but far often when you get back to them, the things that you taught them have resonated with them. They'll come back and be like, listen, I never forgot. Even though it might have not seemed like it, I might have been bumping my head and going through obstacles. I always remember those things that you said to me. So,
Yeah.
and that's the best reward in the world.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Even in the next chapter, it seemed personal. You know, when you talk about, you know, walk a block in my shoes. And that was a powerful chapter, you know, as I was going through it. And the most powerful, you know, part to me is taking time to understand how their experiences have impacted them. And I was kind of in the middle of the chapter. And that's kind of what it talk about when you put yourself in that student or as a parent, your child's shoes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I liked that part of it. And I think it is imperative to understand how things have impacted them to get a better understanding to get to that next tier, tier, as you say.
Because we talk about parents, you always look at your kids and perceive from a parent's lens. I mean, it's just natural. But sometimes it's important to take a step back. This chapter also has a lot to do with the understanding of sympathy versus empathy. People don't really need you to feel sorry for them. Nothing happens by you feeling sorry for me. Because those are words. Man, I hope you feel better, and I walk away and I'm on something else. Thing is, there's a difference in saying, man, I heard you sick. Is there something that I can do to support you? It's a big difference, you know.
Very much.
Sorry for your loss. Okay. Hey, I'm just around. I might not say no words, but I'm just there in case you need me. It's a difference. So what our young men need is someone to accompany them on the journey. They don't need anybody to lead them necessarily. Let them still struggle sometime, but just walk with them. It's that level of vulnerability. So walking the block means you know the kid from 7:30 when school starts to 3:30 when he leave. I need you to know all the rest of that time when he's not with you, because that's who will show you who he is, not the student, but the person.
Yeah, yeah. And now that is true. Now, further in the book, I had a problem with accepting, said what you
Here
said
we
here
go.
now. He said, as an adults, the misconception is that we have all the answers, and if the student would just listen to us, they will be further along. Now, that's not true. I feel like that's true in a lot of situations. But elaborate on it. I mean, he can elaborate on it, so it made more sense. But when you say that, what do you mean? Yes, of course, if they listen to us, they'll be further on.
It would be
But that's why it's a
perfect.
book in here. He's challenging what I think. So explain that a little bit further. Because
Yeah,
I know
for
a lot
sure.
of people feel that way, and I do too. But what I say it is after the fact. After I listen to him and I hear, okay, that don't sound right. That's a little stupid. So
That's
I don't
dumb.
need you to do that. I need you to listen to me at this moment. So parents like me who hard head, talk to me.
So there are times where there needs to be corrective action. I mean, there's some things that are just non-negotiable. Most of the
Right.
time, like this is a situation where you should not be doing that because
Right.
of X and Y. But I think that should not always be the norm. Part of this has more to do with allowing them to have authentic voices and to work it through in their mind, whether it makes sense or not, and then to guide. What I mean is not to jump straight to, that's stupid.
Right.
No. How about we take some time to listen to our kids, listen to our students, and say, what is it? Because that'll give you an understanding of why they come to that type of thought process and where they are in development. And just like as a principal, if a kid comes to me and they have an issue with a teacher and they come in just going off, okay, I'm going to listen. It ain't about whether I agree because I got the power. At the end of the day, it is what it is. So I'm going to listen to them. And 99% of the time, it ain't even about the consequences. The fact that they felt like they weren't heard. So what that is challenging us to do is say, sometime allow them to have that voice to work through the situation and then guide them on the back end as opposed to the front end. So we still got the power. We're still going to support them.
Yeah.
But they got to feel like they are part of the conversation and not just being guided. And we didn't like that when we were growing up either. Some of it, we did it because our parents told us to, but it wasn't
Exactly.
necessarily the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Because you know how the different era of parenting was from how we are parents. I would never be like, well, why I got to do that? That don't make sense. I would never say nothing like that to my mama.
Me either.
And not even out of fear. It's just, I'm not going to challenge what she's telling me because I feel like she knows more than me. She knows what's best for me. So I trust her with what she's telling me to do, even if I don't want to do it. And I feel like kids, I don't know where they get this.
Neither one of
sense
y'all had a smartphone.
Oh, well, that's true.
That's
I didn't
true.
have but I did have that first phone that came on. Remember them big ones?
You
with
had
the
to
little
believe
flip
your
on the back?
mama or go look in the Encyclopedia Britannica.
For sure.
Funny.
That's all. That was your only options then. Now these
That's it.
kids got options. When we tell them something, they go look it up.
Well, that's true. I ain't thinking about that.
Yeah. But then further in this chapter, when I was looking, he was, he's talking about the building relationships and holding off on the judgment to the post end, and even talking about like meeting parents and meeting people in their neighborhoods. Like, do you think this is something that teachers really can adopt?
Absolutely.
Or would this be like a smaller, type of thing, like a teacher with 60, 80 students? You think they can pull off still this type of relationship with each student?
Absolutely, because you don't have to build this relationship with every kid. Every kid is not looking for you to build it. These will be authentic relationships that'll grow, or you'll find some connection with these particular kids. It's not
Okay.
every kid.
Right.
So every black kid you meet, they don't need the diagnosis. Some of them got two parents at home, they doing well.
Right.
They got more money than you, they drive nice cars, they don't need it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's some, unfortunately, there's some white kids who will be in a situation, and say they're in a white school, for instance, and because they are around kids who are affluent, they may not have no money, and you can't even really tell. You know, so it's a way. And as I'm building relationships, here are just some things in my toolkit that I can use, and you'll figure out who your set of kids are by again establishing what are the things that create rapport between us two.
Exactly.
So Nathaniel is, I don't know if you consider yourself a mentor to children, but when we first started dating,
I don't use that word.
what?
Mentor.
Okay, I don't know what you use. That's why I didn't want to say
But I
it.
don't think everything I do is mentorable, but
I don't either.
overall,
But
I'm someone you can look up to.
but it would be just kids at his house, and I'd be like, "Where do they come? They not going home? Like they live here? They spending the night?"
He a
He'd
mentor.
be like, "Yeah, they just they been here most of the summer. The summer." I said, "Nah, I'm all for, mentoring the kids, but they got to go home.
I gotta go home. All right. Mentor, but look at it like this: every pastor who is responsible for souls, or however you want to look at that, they don't always do everything right. They're still pastors. So part of it
This is true.
And what our kids need, the reason why they need mentors like us. For instance, what I do on my free time ain't something that every kid need to see. Okay, but they also need to know the authenticity of who we are. Like we real people outside here. We dealing with real situations with real consequences, with real fears and threats and all that other stuff. And so that's what really makes us even better when we not trying to hide that stuff away from them. Like, yeah, these are things I do. I got to work on. Like I'm an unpolished vessel but so are you. And so in that way, that's what really make the kids say, yeah, I can believe him, because he might do this, but he might cuss me out, or whatever it is. Right. It's just that's what makes mentoring
being your
better.
genuine self.
I call it the Charles Barkley effect.
There you go. I am not a role model. For sure. I am not a role
Shout out
model.
Charles Barkley. That's what we do.
Crazy over here.
Now, another heartfelt story in this book that we're not going to touch because you got to get the book to know in detail is DJ. Now, why did you choose to use DJ's story in this book?
Man.
That's a great question. So, DJ is really my first mentee. But he wasn't. But here's the thing: DJ wasn't necessarily. He wasn't I didn't know that I was mentoring DJ.
Right.
You feel me? Like I was just helping a young man who had some troubles, who I wanted to see be successful, and I was going to do whatever it took to help him. And it built my capacity to realize, I really can do this. And so, you definitely got to get the book to hear about DJ. But DJ went through it. He definitely went through it, and I think.
Yeah.
I think on the other end.
That story was deep.
Yeah.
So do you still have a relationship with him? Like, do you still talk to him?
Oh, man, yeah. I'm bringing DJ next time he's in. We're supposed to be doing a podcast together.
Really?
Going not one together, but going on a show to do one, yeah. I talk to DJ all the time.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I thought he was a great story to do it on. And I think he was not some stories be far-fetched, like, wow, I can't believe that. But it wasn't an unbelievable story. This
wasn't.
This was more of a typical story of a lot of kids in the city, bouncing and trying to find their way. So I thought if you get this book, it is a, relatable story as in our lifestyle and in our community. So you can definitely take a lot from this story. You know what I'm saying? And something that it go into the end, it also talks about, and he goes into percentages. And so, so he says 60% of black people believe that mental health condition is a sign of personal weakness.
That's so true.
Now, why did you even go there?
Because, when we were growing up, people never taught, you could have never told your parent, Mom, Dad, I'm depressed. Like when we were growing up, they'd be like, what that mean? And they gonna directly go to, what you depressed about? You don't have no worries in life. All you gotta do is go to school. Like, well,
Exactly.
And so we just suppressed it and said, well, I guess that's just me being weak or whatever the situation is. Like I can't have those type of feelings. And so I put it in there to say that we look at mental health, and I think we've got much better over the years as being taboo. Like black people don't have mental health issues back then. Like you might have that crazy uncle and he just was crazy, but no, I
just seen about 3 of them this weekend.
So yeah, I think as we move forward and we get real about what mental health looks like, that we understand that people still have a significant issue with it. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think that, I don't know if I was ever a person that didn't think that mental illness was real, but until I was into a situation where I didn't know how to resolve it, I didn't know what the answer was, and I was confused myself. And it's like, well, who gonna have the answers? And then, I don't want to ruffle no feathers, but our response is, well, just pray about it. And that's supposed to just fix it, and everything's supposed to be fixed. And I'd be like, no, we got to go a little bit deeper than just praying about it. We got to figure out where the issue is deprived from, why we're not talking about it. Like, how do we get to the real root of the problem?
Work. I mean, that's the work that you pray about. You pray to get to that point to do the action, in my opinion. So if you're just sticking at the praying, you got to do the work as well.
Right.
Can't just stop there. But that's with anything. What I'm saying? You can't just stop there.
Most definitely.
And so the next part of the book, he also say, which I thought was interesting, and I have to agree with, but I don't even think it's just black boys. I think it's our culture in general, sometime the other one, but say black boys are stripped of their developmental years and jolted into manhood way too early. And I don't think that's just a boy problem,
It's
like
not.
you said. This can be adapted to
For
females
sure.
as well.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I
There's
think
young
so.
girls who, young boys who, just by nature, how the situation is. I got parents who work, and so you know, I need you to look after your little brother. And it's done not out of malice. Like, I gotta work. So then they find themselves having to, you know, do their homework, help little brother and little sister with their homework, cook the food, have them on the weekend. You know, so now they're parenting in a lot of ways. I'm 14, but I'm responsible for my 5 or 6 year old brother. He with me all day. You know, now I go to school and I'm tired. You know, and it ain't because I'm saying parents are being neglectful. It's just a reality, and that's not
life
black boys,
sometimes.
like you said. That's not black girls. That's a lot of kids who get put into those situations where I was kind of deprived of being able to just be a kid. Where okay, like you know, I'm not responsible for anybody. I just kind of move, and so then with boys, where I think is significant is then when they get to a point where they're 14, mom's been having them do that. And again, we don't want to over sensationalize the situation, but in a single parent home,
Getting to my next boy, go ahead.
when you have a single parent home, mom now wants you to be her son, and you kind of like feeling like you her man.
Yeah, you're getting that equality.
Yeah, like
going
I do
on.
just as much as work as you do around here, so then it just becomes an issue.
Yeah, and you know,
Sure.
as I used to quote, blurred lines, as he said.
Absolutely.
Lines get blurred. And I see that a lot in our community.
Oh, yeah.
You actually do.
I see that a lot personally with people that I know
Yeah.
who like to call their sons kings. And I don't have no problem with the young kings, but that come with a significant amount
a
of
responsibility that they're not prepared for.
they're not prepared for.
Yeah.
And that's what he explains in the book. So, you know, this is a very good read for a lot
Absolutely.
of single mothers, especially
I wanted
this
it
chapter.
to be something else, so I'm waiting on the Urban Playbook Part 2.
Look at you. Already manifested. Put a ring on the part 2.
And you know, we play on that playbook because I'm a coach, so
Right.
it's my whole understanding, like strategically walking through things and what it looks like. And leadership and mentoring is, you know, one and the same, synonymous. So
Now, what we just talked about with the blurred lines, and you know, sometimes they thinking they equal because they do as much work. Now, what about the boys that are prepared for that? You know, so they take on that role and do it kind of successfully. Do you think they should continue and be groomed in that way, or they should step back and let them be more of a child?
I mean, I don't think any of them are ever ready. I think they become ready by circumstance.
Trial and fire.
Yeah, so like you're gonna be ready because you don't have a choice. But developmentally, a 14-year-old boy shouldn't be ready to be making decisions that grown men have to make.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it happens far too often. But yeah,
Yeah, I think, yeah, what he said.
Go ahead, bud.
So, like I said, I would hope that it would be a part 2, but have you thought about writing another book?
oh for sure. By December, I'll be getting back out here. So part of what the reason why the book is even out is so I have a consulting firm now.
Yeah.
And what we do is help schools with supporting like academic and behavioral concerns they may have. So like we have an academic monitoring. The IBA is actually my educational process of like how to be able to support students in terms of academics, social emotional awareness. We have a peer-to-peer mentoring piece. And so I'm doing professional development, and so I'll be writing something. My next thing will be on helping those who are emerging in education to become leaders, the things that they don't tell you. Because too often they throw, particularly our African-American like emerging leaders just out there by fire and just say figure it out. But there are a couple things, like if you have these tools, they really could support you, like how to delegate, how to work on your own wellness, the difference in understanding between people who are your friends and what friendships should look like in the workforce. So I think it's like 10 or 12 like key areas that I think they should work on to be able to, you know, give themselves the upper hand.
So it's even more like a human resource.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because on
thing.
the opposite side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to give them the tools to know how to work with different type of kids in
Yeah.
different situations.
And parents, how to navigate parents, how to navigate other admin, just a lot of things.
Yeah, because these parents be tripping, though.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some parents, like, flip out, and then you be like, oh, that's why he act like that.
That's his mama's
Because
child.
you act like that.
For sure.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. But both of y'all gonna get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, but sometimes it don't. Sometimes it don't. Now, back to the book when we going, like, since you started it, now navigating the process from the beginning to the end, how do you feel about it, and how is it what you expected? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you said in the last 30 days you sold about 1,500 copies, or it was
No,
45?
right now we're about 200, maybe 250.
200
and that's,
copies.
I mean, the book releases on the 18th of June, so we're doing pretty good. You know, just working it around. I'm waiting on my website to be completed. So right now, people go to the website to just purchase the book, but all of the products that we are offering will be up there in about 5 days. So that's really where the work starts, and we get in the districts and we get in the companies and do all that and support. So
That's great. So navigating through it has been a pretty smooth process from beginning to end.
it has, but I mean, it was strategic though. So like I tell people all this time, writing a book is fine, but building a brand and all of that takes the work. So the book itself, just sitting down, disciplining myself to write, was fine. So I did all the writing on my own and all that. And it's a quick read. It's 85 pages. But the design of, like, really understanding, like, what are you trying to accomplish? You know, I ask for feedback all the time. I'm getting really good feedback about it. And so I'm pleased. I'm pleased with what I've had thus far. But in my mind, I won't be done until, and it's not about the amount of books I sell, more than it's how much impact can I spread across. So I'm more excited when I see the book going in, like, Texas or Kentucky. So I always look at where they're going, and I'm like, why are these people buying the book from these different places? You know, and so I'm also in a few groups on Facebook, like a Principal's Desk and other places. So I've been able to put it in there, and it's helping impact. So yeah,
Absolutely. I think that's pretty awesome. And I know you had recently went to, like, I don't know, was it like a book signing?
Yeah. So I was actually at a conference. So I sit on the I'm fortunate enough to sit on so schools like ours are called Jesuit schools. So I sit on the Jesuit Schools Network's executive board. So there are like 15 of us around the country for the United States and Canada. And so we were there for the executive board meeting, but they also have this thing called the colloquium, which is where teachers and, you know, maybe 500 people come to you know, just talk about the state of the schools and other things. So I was able to do a presentation on the book, and then also present for my business too. So we did 2 separate ones. And so it was dynamic. I was able to sell books, get more impact, and the network picked it up, and so they put it on their page and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I was excited. I'm like, is it going to be live? Can I see it?
Yeah, so we working it through now. Yep.
Yeah. So now I want you to give some advice to the next guy that's in Detroit, maybe an educator, maybe not, but interested in writing something, but he just still praying. He hasn't put them to work yet. So, you know, what advice would you give to the next person that wants to do similar to what you do? Not you, because you're in your own lane.
Yeah.
You feel me? When Huff came in here, he put me in my place. So people in their own lane. I said, what would you do if the person want to do what you do? He said, tell them stay in their own lane. I do it. I'm the only one to do what I do. So put a ring on that. Shout out Huff.
Okay.
And I believe in that. So you in your own lane. But to the next person, what words of encouragement would you give them?
So I think it's 2 things. One, if we talk about just writing books, and then we talk about doing this type of work. So if we're trying to do this type of work, first and foremost, have a knowledge base of what you're talking about. So have some foundation of why you have that. Research, your own experiences. You have to have enough to give to people, because then if not, you're just talking.
Exactly.
So I'm fortunate enough to have been in schools, to been able to do the research, to have data to support what I'm doing in terms of that. 2, be extremely authentic to who you are. Do it in your style. I never try and go places and be anyone else. I am who I am. I'm going to dress the way I dress anywhere I go. So be authentic, because that gets you a lot further when people feel that the message, and they can feel the compassion. So I don't write things down. I just come speak from my heart. So I think those 2, and then get in position with the right people. So shout out to Sean Blanchard, University Moguls. So Sean is actually the guy who gave me the blueprint to write the book. Of how to write a book, like the process of writing a book.
Right.
So I didn't just sit down and start writing. Like, I strategically, and again, it costs to be the boss. You understand what I mean? So like writing a book or doing anything else, it took time to kind of write it and get to the process. Sean a dog, though. So shout out to Sean for giving me the blueprint in that work. And, yeah, that's kind of do it. And you kind of go off faith, too. So once you got a plan in your head, I just, in my mind, I told y'all this before, in some way, like I've been sending my book to different people, you know, I just know God is manifesting. This is just the beginning. We less than a month into it. You know, I give myself 6 months. It's gonna pop and blow, and then I'm already expecting what the Most High has already told me. So I already know it's coming. It's just get yourself prepared for the abundance that's gonna come.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Put a ring on that. And with that said, so now what are the future goals? You know what I'm saying? Now that the book is out, now that we done, we selling copies 6 months. After that 6 month period, what is the next goal? What's next for Wyatt Jones, the author?
Yeah, so next is to really put as much energy as I can into my team of consultants and really become like an administrator who can help aspiring administrators. So I really just want to be a teacher consultant, a leaders consultant, helping them deal with their capacity. You know, because when you manifest, sometimes, and when you are manifesting things, you know, that always alters your current reality. Like, I'm a principal, first off.
Right.
Yeah.
I won't always be a principal, so I'll say that. I won't always be the principal of Loyola.
Right.
At some point, I'm going to have to move beyond that because that's what God is calling me to do. And so I would like to get out of the schools and really travel the country to inspire others, to be a motivational speaker, to also continue to be an author. And that's I see myself doing TED Talks, sitting in front of rooms, just inspiring people to get to work.
Yeah, and I think that'll be great for you. It's great to be an ambassador of
sure.
Detroit. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna, like you say, you're gonna represent. He always gonna dress classy the way he do, but he's gonna do it like a D-boy supposed to do.
You know what?
With the buffs.
It's a great representation of what a good Detroit black man looks like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What I try to represent when I get out here. So he's one of the guys that I can look to, you know what I'm saying, and get a little
Absolutely.
piece from. So again, now, let's give them the website, you know what I'm saying? We starting to run out of time. See how quick that go.
And go. Listen.
And let's see how they can get the book. Now we're gonna hold it up right here, so make sure they can get it. Make sure you get it in there tight, Dro. We're gonna get this book. Show them tell them where to get the book.
So if you're interested in purchasing the Urban Playbook, listen, it's $30, an easy $30. We spend $30 on anything else. This can hopefully impact someone's life. You can go to www.eastman. You can go to www.eastmaneducationalconsulting.com. Eastman, so that's Eastman, eastmaneducationalconsulting.com. You can purchase the book there. I'm signing my first 300 copies. After that, you'll just get the book. But
Got mine signed.
I got mine signed too.
And turnaround is quick. We get that book to you in about 3 days, wherever you are in the country or in the world. We'll get it to you.
They're gonna get it to you. There we go.
For sure.
Awesome.
Also, you know what I'm saying, if you got any young man around the city need a little guidance and
sure.
you got a little bit, you know, a couple extra dollars you got in your pocket, Loyola is still open in enrollment.
Absolutely. So we are getting close to capacity in terms of our 9th grade. So I would encourage you, if you know a young man who's interested in changing the trajectory of his life by just having the opportunity to have people who are going to be dedicated to him, to go to www.loyolahsdetroit.org, fill out the application. Our admissions director will contact you, or just come visit. And we're open every day. So come stop by. Like, the biggest salesmen for our school are the students in the seats. And so we, you know, I think our track record is good enough to back up what we do. I want to shout out to our work program. I got to keep shouting out our corporate work study. So we are looking for partners. If you have a business and there's opportunity for our young men to come in and to work with you, you know, we would love to sit down and have a conversation, contact the school. Kenneth Gardner, who is our director of our program, to contact him and see, you know, what we can set up. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, speaking on that, I definitely want to jump in there because
I knew you was going to say that.
Superfood Detroit definitely be having a second location opening in
Yes, sir.
a very short time. It's, you know, we got all our permits, so we back to working.
Nice.
And, you know, we'll be open soon. So it's definitely something that I'll be interested in.
For sure.
Getting a few guys over there a few hours and seeing however we can do.
For
you know what I'm
sure.
saying, to help out
Appreciate that.
and get the help. So that's what we all about. And I can personally put my stamp on Loyola. One of my sons went there, graduated from there a few years ago. So I know exactly what you can get out of it and what they offer. And it's way more than what you would pay in tuition. I can promise you that.
for sure.
You're gonna get way more.
Absolutely.
Your son gonna have a wonderful experience at it, and if you're an athlete, you have an even better experience.
That's
So,
right.
shout out to Loyola. I put the Steezy stamp on them, and go from there.
It is.
Now, give them your social media handles. Tell them where to get you.
Yeah, so listen, I'm Wyatt Jones, WYATT Jones on Facebook. And actually, if you go, here's the thing, if you go purchase the book or just go to the website, all my handles at the bottom of it. So that's how you're going to get them. All my handles are on the bottom of that website.
Smart
Before you
man.
purchase the book, my Twitter, my Facebook, I always post inspirational things during the week.
do.
My Morning Minute message,
Morning Minute.
M3.
I love it.
You know, I'd love for y'all to come check me out. So, yep, hit that up and, definitely want to continue to try and impact the world as best I can.
Yeah, that's great. Now, lastly, we're going to give you some minute here to shameless plug the book. Tell the people why they need the Urban Playbook in their life. This is why it's commercial. Set, go. I'm going to chop it.
All right, so listen, the Urban Playbook is an opportunity for you literally to change the life of a young person. Boy, girl, color doesn't really matter. It is to give you tools. If you are a parent, your son is now 14 and you understanding that y'all don't talk the same language. It's like you speaking Chinese and he's speaking English. I need you to understand that maybe you don't understand his love language. So this helps you understand the language of young people. If you're an aspiring teacher who just trying to figure out how to connect with your students, here are some tools you can put in your kit to kind of work that through. And again, if you're interested in the educational part, go to our website and you can get all the information from there.
What are you saying, babe?
I wasn't saying I was saying you go ahead and say something before I close it out.
Oh, okay. I appreciate you coming on again. I think the book is excellent.
Excellent.
I wish I had the book when my son was 14, but he's 18 now. So we just going to keep on praying and inspiring him to be better.
Yeah. I think his language broken.
Baby, that's a whole nother story. We'll talk after the
Whole
show
nother
about that.
We'll talk after the show.
Michelle.
So, yeah, we definitely appreciate Wyatt coming through again for us. You know, just a phone call away. We was at the book signing, got ours. We said, hey, you want to come back on the show to talk about the book? Now you got it all? He said, definitely. Just set the date and I'm there. And that's always the relationship that he's had with me.
Yeah.
So whenever he called the Steezy, we definitely going to show up.
For sure.
So thank you again. Appreciate it. We got our copies. If you don't got your copies, he gave you the website. You can get them on any of his handles. The Urban Playbook, man. That's all I want to say about it.
Appreciate y'all as always. It's
Yeah.
family, so we all always step in the door.
Yeah.
Love is love.
So till then, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Put a Ring on It. We'll be back to you next Monday at 8 p.m. Till then, you can watch all our past episodes, including Mr. Wyatt Jones over
For
here,
sure.
past episode on YouTube, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. So till next Monday, I'm Nate Steezy. This is my wife, KB. It's Put a Ring on It.
Peace.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show.
Hey,
Let's put a ring on
put
it.
a ring on it.
Hosted by the Steezys.
KB and Nate.
Is our relationship gold? Hey, put a ring on it. 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 Is our relationship gold? Hey, put a ring on it. 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 And if you like it, you should put a ring on it. Yeah. Put a ring on the Steezys.
I don't think we can do it together, babe. You make me nervous.